Yes. Click the links. Don't mind the salty in the upper corner. I don't think he's going to copyright strike me. I went to get blood the other day, as I do every 8 weeks, because I'm an awesome person. And then I went to this Bay Area like barbecue type thing associated with giving blood, and like this is in the liberal Bay Area, and I enter this thing. It's like a barbecue and live music, and nobody's wearing masks at all. It was freaking weird. I'm looking around like, is this the Bay Area? What happened? I thought there would be like a bunch of Karens and stuff. It's like, no, it's just, it was, I didn't think it was over. It was weird. You had to wear a mask to give the blood, and then once you go to this barbecue, it's like nobody was wearing it. It was kind of weird to see that in the Bay Area. This is Bounty in the Comics, and if you scroll through all these articles, it's like everything. It's everything woke turns to dirt. Paraphrasing, there's a whole bunch of stuff here that is basically that. It's the China's thing with this guy said one little thing about China. He said something like his parents grew up in a poor village. It was really mild, and now China is probably not going to pick up the movie, which means they're probably going to lose $100 million because China won't pick up that movie. So now you're stuck just with domestic. So I think in the long term, this movie's going to turn out to be a bomb. I don't think it's going to make its money back. And once you factor in all the money that goes into a movie beyond the production cost, then there's all this other stuff that's like, that looks horrible. That the Aquaman, that looks friggin' horrible. Who's that made for? Slightly developmentally disabled kids? That's what it looks like it's for. Just, this is so cutesy, aren't we? Cutesy. No, you're effing developmentally disabled. It looks like, I just can't say a frickin' thing on YouTube. So I'm sure that's going to bomb. Graphic novels published in 2021. Yeah, I'm sure American comics are right there at the top of the list. And then this is the interesting thing. Gina Carano warns about surrendering freedoms after President Joe Biden's new vaccine mandate. So I did a video on this, which was, I realized as I got through, I realized, what a waste of time. There's no way I can put this on YouTube. It deals with this and the Wu flu, and then I uploaded it, and then I went into Creator Studio, the settings, and I got a warning I had never seen before when I went to go see if we could click it for monetization, and it was just giving me that little Octoon triangle. It was something else. It was something weird, so I got kind of nervous. I thought, I'm just going to delete it and put it on BitChute. I thought the video was pretty mild. I mean, I wasn't advocating the violent overthrow of the government or anything. I mean, the Liberty Tree and all that. I didn't say any of that kind of stuff. But Google is really not a fan of diversity of thought. Then I listened to a little bit of Alex Jones. He was on Nerdrotic. But the thing is, if Alex was going to say anything real, he wouldn't be on YouTube. They kicked him off sort of as a preparation to get you ready when they start kicking off anyone else. And if you think back to YouTube over the past 3 years, they've kicked off a lot of shows. A lot of the really good guys, and even the guys I wasn't absolutely on board with, like stuff like Atheism is Unstoppable. Entertaining channel. The guy was really good at putting music together. They kicked him off. Like, what the hell did that guy do? They kicked off a bunch of people. You look around, you're like, the YouTube environment kind of sucks now. Salty is... like, he's any day now he's going to go, but it's like he's one of the last few entertaining people on YouTube. There's a lot of boring crap out there. Thing is, the stuff they say about Alex Jones, like he's some far right guy. Everyone on the right, who's on the actual right, looks at Alex Jones like, are you kidding? You think the people you're calling far right, so you people have no idea what right of center is. You're so far whacked out left. Yeah, he was right of center, I guess, on some issues. He was infotainment, and to be fair to the further right, he's not exactly controlled ops like someone like Ben Shapiro. He was pretty harmless. Kicking him off didn't make much sense according to what their purported reasons or their real reasons are. It's just a slowly boiling frog. They want to just kick off more and more of these people and eventually turn YouTube into like if you go to the YouTube the start page, all those suggested channels that are just bubblegum, plastic, just the stupidest videos on earth. It's like all these reaction videos where you've got people who look like they've got off camera, they have a gun to their head saying like react, pretend to be excited. They all have the same open mouth shocked look like I prank my girlfriend with a dirty diaper. It's just, it hurts to look at these. But then you look at the views, it's like, oh, they got 4 million views and they made $250,000 off that video. It's like, that's why they're doing it. It's like that kind of pop culture crap. Anything real, even stuff like 4 years ago, YouTube used to be wild. And then TDS set in, and it just turned into soy dog shit. So what happened was, it was first they deleted the actual far right, and then the moderate right is now the new far right, because that's how proportions go. Then YouTube starts clipping away at them. Now all the Phantom Menace, the Comicsgate guys, those are the new far right, at least relatively speaking. And, one day, someone like the Quartering, he's probably going to get kicked off. What were the reasons they're going to kick off the Quartering? For no reason. Just because he's not their guy. He's got a big following. And he's, probably either slightly left of center or moderate. But he's just not... He's speaking out against SJW stuff in consumerism. So he's not their guy, so it's probably only a matter of time for him. And credit to Gary from Neurotic having Alex. It's funny, you see people who you think are kind of soyish, and then every once in a while they show some balls, and it's like, whoa, there's a little bit of spice to these guys. Having him on in the present climate is kind of dangerous when you're using YouTube as a job, and it's sort of pointless because it's Google Tube. They've come so far from what they started out, literally YouTube. It's in the title. Now having Alex Jones on is something risky. When Alex Jones is too spicy for the platform, then the platform sucks. And it's kind of creepy to see how much Google has, how much control they have over the flow of information. You would think Americans would value the open marketplace of ideas more than the billion-dollar corporate's right to censor. It's a private company. Yeah, I don't care. I value the people's right to free speech. Or this is the social media, the internet. That's the new town square. It's effectively the new town square. I value the individual's right to free speech much more than I value a billion-dollar company's right to control the narrative and decide who gets elected. Yeah, I'm willing to make the call on that and say the balance is in favor of individual liberties. It seems like somewhere in the past 30 years, Americans lost their balls. And they're content to turn America sort of into this commercial zone, debt slave work camp where they'll give up liberty for a vague promise of safety. Content to live in a nanny state where we're dependent on the taxpayers for everything. It's not the government, it's the taxpayers. It's not their money, it's your money. They were happy to tear my fat Italian waifu down for saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't demonize our neighbors because, that happened before. Perhaps it's better to live and let live. Maybe the government shouldn't run every aspect of our lives because governments tend to be bad at that. Turns out that families and extended families are better at running their own lives because they're connected by blood. A government doesn't care. Why would you ever think a government would care about you? No, Daddy Stalin doesn't care. Only your family and tribe care because they have sort of a genetic investment in you. But even saying that is wrong think these days. And the comics do a big thing where they have this theme of the found family. And I didn't notice it in movies until I noticed it in comics first. The idea of giving up the blood genetic family for a found family of like a multi-tribal found family. And you read this in comics like, oh, this is creepy. This is really sick. I made videos about it. People are going to look back at this consolidation of power and wonder if perhaps we shouldn't have fought back at the time the injury to our liberties occurred. Giving up liberty for safety just means the government will call anything they want a matter of safety. What was it, Star Wars in 1999? Or public health, and remove more liberty whenever they want. Why not just say that the press, assembly, expression, religion, the 5 tenets of the First Amendment, one more, need to be curtailed as a matter of safety and public health? When the crisis is over, you'll get those rights back. Except the crisis never ends, and now you can't even seek redress of grievance, your First Amendment constitutional right, because you gave up those rights. Perhaps it's better to keep your rights and reduce the government's infringement on personal liberty. I can't imagine that this is what the Founding Fathers envisioned. This absolute clown world cluster F of peak Weimar America. Biden said that this isn't a matter of freedom. Oh, well, it's good to know that a matter of freedom is not a matter of freedom. It's times like this when people suspect that the Fed has perhaps grown out of control and the states need to reassert themselves and the rights of their population. The Twitter kids are arguing this as a matter of religious belief. And, it's funny. Yeah, when you kill God, nature abhors a vacuum. And there's something in the human psyche that abhors a vacuum. You've got to have a belief system, a core, a dogma of something. People are arguing these Twitter commie kids, with like an ecclesiastical fervor, instead of considering that there's a possibility that the federal government has interests adverse to your individual liberty. I keep asking people, why would you trust the media or government, which causes them to sputter and spurg out and hit the, so what you're saying is... Some people are terrified to come to the conclusion that they live in a low-trust society, and sources of information that they had assumed were valid are no longer valid. It's an unsettling feeling because it feels like you're swimming out over the deep waters. Things get dark and cold very fast. What you thought was benign now holds monsters. What you thought was a whale turns out to be a great white. But it's better to just admit that it's a shark so you can prepare accordingly. When the President of the United States says that it's not a matter of freedom or personal choice, I'm not going to say what you should do with that information. Think on that when the President says it's not a matter of freedom. The hairs on the back of your neck should be going up. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, guys. I will see you on BitChute and Odysee.